Hey everyone, welcome to the Freight Lane, where logistics meets leadership and high-value equipment meets the agents who know how to move it. Brought to you by Nationwide Equipment Transportation. Here we spotlight the strategies, mindset, and behind-the-scenes decisions that help independent agents win the loads they want, keep the clients coming back, and building profitable book of business. Whether you're new to the industry or looking to level up with the right partner, you're in the right place. This week, our guest is the infamous Pedro Potato. Goes by that, but Robert, I appreciate you joining us today, and thanks for coming on.
Yeah, brother. I will do everything in my power to make sure this is not your last show and I don't get you canceled.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if we guarantee either one of us not
I
to do
know
that.
that's right. I know that's right.
So let's jump in. These are just really quick, rapid fire questions. Just give me the answers as you want, and feel free to share what you want and what you don't want. But just tell us how you found logistics and what led you to the type of freight you specialize in.
So, I found my way to logistics, I think, like most of us did, and that's completely by accident. I first got in logistics when I joined the Army at the height of the war back in end of 2006. And I chose logistics because that's where you got the biggest bonus was to be a truck driver because that's who everyone was blowing up over there in Iraq and Afghanistan. So
Dang.
they were handing out $40,000 bonuses, and to a young man like me with a family, $40,000 in 2006 was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Got in the military, man, planned on making it my career. I was actually setting myself up to become the equivalent of a transportation manager in the Army, which is called an 88 November. But the universe had different plans for me, and actually got injured. Tried staying in the military, but it just wasn't in the cards. And I got medically discharged, honorable, of course. And dude, I immediately took the skill that I learned in the Army, which was driving a truck, and went to apply that in the civilian world. I got my CDL by myself. The laws at that time here in the state of Texas were all you had to do was pass the written test and the driving test and your physical, and they would give you a CDL. You did not have to prove that you went through school or any of that at that time. So that's what I did. Studied for the test. I took it myself. I rented a semi, and I passed the driving test, and I found a home with a company and spent 10 and a half years on the road as a driver. I'm happy to say I'm a million miler. I specialized mainly in reefer and multi-temp freight when I was a driver. During that time, man, I knew that I wanted more, didn't want to sit in a driver's seat for the rest of my life. So while being behind the wheel, I put myself through school. Took me 4 years to get a 2-year degree, but I did it and got an opportunity to get out of the truck, become a transportation supervisor, and I bounced around the office side for a while on the more of the shipper side of things. Was in control of a fleet of drivers, did some warehousing things, and got out of that. Got out of just for a while. Actually, a friend of mine wanted me to help him build a construction business. I did that. COVID hit, shut everything down, and I got an opportunity to help someone open a brokerage. Had never brokered in my life before, but I knew operations, I knew drivers, and I understood logistics. And so I did that, helped them do that. We parted ways, and I've been with the company I've been with now for 4.5 years doing, I don't really like to say brokering, man, because that's just, I don't know. I'll say brokering. I don't like the term that. Personally, I call myself a logistics solutions engineer. That is
Right.
personally my given title to myself.
I love that. How did you, and I know you kind of sent me some information about your personal life, but you don't have to share it if you don't want, but like, how did you get the nickname Pedro Potato? Like, where'd that come from?
So not an incredible story, but it is a good one in my opinion. So the Pedro part is actually a nod to my father. Um, or my name is Robert Peterson. So my dad has the same name as I do. So he's did this thing ever since we were younger. When he'd go anywhere and they ask you for your name, he would always say Pedro. Well, Pedro is Pete or Peter in Spanish, and we live in Texas. His whole idea behind that was like, there's probably going to be 5 Roberts here, but I bet you there's not going to be another Pedro. And believe it or not, still to this day, I've only met like one other Pedro in the state of Texas. So it's not as common as you think.
Wasn't the
Um,
guy from, wasn't the guy from that funny TV show or movie. Was his name
Yes,
Pedro?
he was. Yes, vote
Dynamite,
for
Napoleon
Napoleon
Dynamite,
Dynamite.
right?
Yeah, exactly. So, I just started calling myself Pedro here at work just as a funny thing. It was just a comical deal, and the potato part actually came from my boss, Kyle Graves. I was late to a meeting and thought I would squeeze in and no one would notice because, there's like 50 people in the meeting. And as soon as I got in there, he just yells, Pedro Potato, thank you for joining us. And so the potato part just stuck, man. And that's how it was. And I call myself that on the show because when we were doing the show, I was like, hey, man, I got to find a way to give myself an alternate personality, if you will. I want to be able to say and do things on the show that, Robert Peterson may not say or do. So, made Pedro Potato my, alternate personality, man. And, it just kind of sticks now, dude. Like nobody knows who Robert is, but everyone knows who Pedro is. So,
That's
yeah.
funny, man. Well, I was just thinking about like we can't really mention the word lounge, I heard, because some lady thinks that she owns that word. So we'll talk a little bit about that later. But you've been doing it since COVID hit. A lot of people jumped in during that. We know we've struggled with fraud and all that in the industry. What's your biggest win so far, or what has been the turning point since COVID for your book of business? I know you mentioned in the when we were behind the scenes that you kind of this year, like everybody is down, but like what has been some of the keys to your success so far getting
Man,
back?
I actually thought the question you sent me, I probably spent the most time on this one, Steve, and funny enough, I came up with my answer to this just this morning, and I've had this question from you for 2 weeks now. And I went over my mind, dude, thought about, the 4 and 5 years I've been doing this. Oh, man, what's the greatest margin I've had? What's the biggest customer I've had? Like, what is the biggest win I've had in this industry? And it hit me today, dude. And you actually just said it. I'm still here, bro.
Yeah.
After all of the people who have came and gone in this industry in the last 4, 5, 6 years, like I'm still here. My boss is still here. Our company is still here. We are still profitable. We are still making money. Have we had to lean things up? Yes, but dude, we're still here, and I think that is probably my biggest accomplishment so far on this side of things.
That's a huge win. And in fact, I love the fact that you didn't even think of it as a per shipment or customer or anything like that. And that's why we're still here and why I've been doing it for 20 years is because we're not looking at it as a rip. I hate that word that people use in our industry because you're really not ripping anybody off. You're providing a service and you're doing a great job of it. So obviously that's why you've been able to sustain the up and down markets that we've experienced and also just the turbulence that we've experienced in the last 24 months, really. So that's kind of interesting. I appreciate you sharing that. But like, what's your unexpected skill outside of freight that makes you better at what you do? Like, what do you do outside of work that makes you a great freight broker?
Man, you know what? That's an easy one for me. That's been an easy one for me since day one. A lot of customers ask this, and it's my honesty, dude. I'm just a blunt person. I am. I don't lie. I don't sugarcoat things. And I feel that just goes a long way in our business because it goes a long way with me as a person. Like, man, hey, give me the bad news, but at least just be honest to me about it. Don't lie to me. And so I think that is honestly my best trait. My biggest thing that has won me stuff. I have so many customers that say, man, like that is my favorite thing about you, Rob. And it goes even to the point of accepting responsibility and fault. You know what I mean? When something is my fault and I know it is, I'm upfront about that. I don't try to pass the buck or push it off on someone else. And that's it. That's my biggest thing. I'm honest, I'm blunt, and I'm transparent, and you will never get anything but that from me.
I think that's what makes a great freight dog, a freight broker, a freight guy, like, or a freight lady. I mean, it's just that honesty part of it. And so I think we're a lot alike in that. And so I think it's kind of interesting that you mentioned that because a lot of people won't like us in real life, but when it comes to business, a lot of people gravitate towards us. So that's great that you share that kind of similar kind of thing that I do. But
Dude, I think when I'm sure when a lot of people ask you ask a lot of people that question, and I don't want to take this in another way, but I want to say this because I think it's important that people know. Like, let me say, every broker is pretty much same as every other broker. Like they are. You look up a broker job description on anywhere, it's all going to be the same, just job description, okay? And it's about the thing that sets you apart. And I know most people think, oh, it's because I'm here at 5 a.m. every day. Dude, so is 50,000 other people. You know what I mean? Don't answer my phone at 7 o'clock. So do 49,000 other people. You know, I think the things that really set someone truly apart is your personal stuff, you know, the knowledge that you have beyond this. You know, what do you know? How do you do things? How do you handle yourself? How do you conduct yourself on a personal level and a business level? And I think that's something that a lot of people are amiss at. And I think that that's what partially makes me successful. I don't call salespeople. I don't call and give you sales, but hey, my name is Robert. Yeah, I got trucks around you, da, da, da. I am blunt and to the freaking point. Hey, check this out. Like, this is what I do. I provide solutions. I like to help you with problems, but maybe you don't have a problem. But either way, I would still like to do some business with you. You know, not verbatim that way, but
Right.
dude, that's how I get all my business, because nobody wants to be sold to. Nobody. You are not saying anything that some other freight broker or someone else has not already told them 50 times this week already. They want someone who is real, who can solve the problem right now, be within the cost that they need to be in, going to answer the phone when they answer it, and they know things are going to be taken care of, and that's it. So
100%.
there you
Yeah,
go.
and that kind of leads me into kind of the next point that we were going to talk about, which is just where the industry's going with AI and technology. And we talked about it on your podcast recently, where we talked a little bit about this. But like, you know, I think that AI is coming for a lot of the mundane day-to-day tasks that we have in our jobs, tracking and quoting and things like that. But when it comes down to what customers really want from us as professionals that have been doing it for a long time, is the knowledge that we bring and the problem solving skills. And so I know that you probably possess some of those problem solving skills. Well, someone asks you to move something that is just out of the ordinary, and you have to come up with a solution. So taking that into consideration, like, where do you kind of see the industry going over the next 5 or 10 years? And are you excited about it? Or are you kind of like nervous like some people, or are you just kind of going to just roll with it like I am?
So to me, I guess I'm a little I'm a little in all directions on this one. I am a little nervous, and here's why. In our industry, when the main driving factor is cost and efficiency and automation at this point, those are three huge things in logistics right now. I hate to say it, but like AI can check the box on every single one of those. A lot of my customers, another thing they love about me is I'm autopilot, bro. I literally, all my customers, it's mostly text. Hey, dude, this is what I got. This is where it picks up. Take care of this. Let me know when it's done. That's it. That's one of the things they love most about me. I give you something. I don't have to worry about it. And I think AI will be able to provide a lot of that kind of same solution expectation that these people want. So it is a little nerve wracking. However, I am as anti-technology for the most part as you can get. I do not believe tech is the answer for all of life's problems. It actually hinders most things. I mean, it makes people dumber, it makes people slower, it creates a lack of want to learn more things. Is why do I need to learn it when I can just hit a button and some computer would do it for me? So I say that to say that I think people like us that have been in this industry for a long time, I'm working on 20 years. I think you're working on my 20 years in January. I think you just hit your 20 years. Yeah. So I think the guys like us, Steve, that have that intricate knowledge of this industry, how the markets work, the ebbs and the flows, the care relationships, you know, we're going to be able to do things that AI can't. Prime example, I'll make this one short. Had a load, man, coming out of the middle of nowhere, Mississippi. I bid the load at a really good rate. I put more money into it than I know I needed because I knew it was going to be a problem, because it's literally 2.5 hours from anywhere else that freight goes. And it was only a 250-mile load. So no driver was going to deadhead 200, you know, or 100, 2 hours, whatever, to pick up a load that was only essentially going to pay them like $1,000. You mean you spend more money in fuel than you will doing the load. And, but I figured it out, man. I knew that there were other manufacturers that did exactly what this guy did in the area. So my boss was like, dude, let's just call some of those other people and say, hey, do you have some carriers maybe you could pass our way? Swear to God, bro, called another shipper. The dude gave us freaking carriers. He was like, yeah, man, totally understand. I deal with this often. Here's a group of carriers that I deal with. Maybe one of them can help you. And it did. It worked out, bro. It took us 3 days before we thought of that stupid solution. How dumb is that, right? But when we did think of it, we figured it out. AI couldn't have done that. AI would not have probably thought about, oh, let's call other shippers in the area who do the exact same thing and say, hey, I know in a sense, like, I'm a competitor as far as moving freight, but can you help a brother out? So, but
About
yeah,
relationships, right? Like, and I think
yeah.
that's what you're going with is like the relationships that we built over the last 20 years. We can call on those relationships. And so that's what, like for you, me, we can talk to each other now and be like, hey, what do you think on this? Or what do you think on that? We all have to do the same job, like you were mentioning earlier, but the relationships are what help us get us out of jams, get us problem solving, and help us build our book of business, I guess, in the right sense to be successful. And you have to rely on some people that are your competitors a lot of times. And so I know both of us have been at the some of the broker carrier summits and some of the carrier summits that have gone on recently. Um, do you plan on attending some of those next year? What are you looking forward to next year as far as, networking events and things like that?
Man, so I've not made my event list this year, and I'm snobby when it comes to events. I'm not gonna lie to you. I love networking, but a lot of the time, to be honest, I don't see the value in me spending $2,000 to fly across the country to go sit in a room and talk to you when we already talk every day on LinkedIn, or I can talk to you any day I want on LinkedIn or whatever. So, but that's just me, man, and that's from experience. That is after I've spent multitudes of dollars going to a lot of conventions and not seeing a huge return on it. But to each his own. So I think the Broker Care Summit is a really good one. The way that Dan and all of them have their stuff put together, the idea behind it, it's very fruitful. We know several carriers and brokers that have gone to that and have been successful. I can't really say anything about any others because that's about the only one I've had a good notion with. Oh, the Carrier Revenue Summit that you and I went to, that was a good one. So
Yeah.
I don't really have any on my list this year yet because I haven't made that. I will be going to a ton of truck shows, but that just has to do with my media stuff. But even that, to be honest, has been incredible for networking, man. I've met a lot of movers and shakers in this industry who we can't do business together because we're just not the same realm, but they have given me carriers and ends to prospects, say for me to be able to get business out of and make my business better. So it'll be mainly truck shows, but I'm hoping to maybe get to a broker carrier summit this year. I missed both of them last year, but that's only because they were literally 1 week before other events that we had already planned and booked, and I just didn't have the travel budget.
Yeah. And I think Matt and Kansas City are back to back this year, and that's going to be a struggle for a lot of people. But yeah, Matt's the truck show stuff that you put out is pretty impressive. For me, growing up in the industry with my parents owning a trucking company, I love going to the truck shows. We went to the I-80 Walcott show last year. My wife and I did, and then I went to Matt's, and just going and seeing all the really cool trucks, and the things that people do. It just amazes me. So I love what you put out on social media. I do watch that and see some of the trucks and videos that you guys have. So I want
Appreciate it.
you guys keep doing that. So that's pretty
And I'll say, if you don't mind me cutting you off, Steve, I
cool.
want to say, like, I am in no way trying to discourage someone from going to events. Again, to each his own. If you're a carrier, you should definitely be going to events. Truck shows are good for you guys, but I would say more so the convention-y style ones like Texas Trucking Show, Match, Florida Trucking Show, because there are a lot of brokers that go to those type of shows because they're there for a lot of other vendors. These things like broker carrier summits, the carrier revenue summit, all these things, if you can make it happen, by all means, go to it because it's all about the power of networking. If it fits you and you feel like you're going to get something out of it, at least give it a shot once. So I will just want to say that.
Yeah, 100%. I think a lot of it's about like BCS, for example, is learning and, networking a little bit, but you might run into, I mean, I've ran into a couple of times, a lawyer that I could call on and help for something that maybe I was dealing with, or I ran into, Dale Prax or someone like that that's doing fraud stuff. And we can talk a little bit about what we're seeing and kind of help each other out with that. So, again, like you said, to each their own. Everybody, some of them like different things, but at least test it out next year. I think it'll be important. And we mentioned this a little bit earlier when we were talking about the tech side of things, is that the people that built carrier relationships over the last couple of years, which we made a big emphasis in and trying to like use the same carriers on certain lanes and stuff, because mainly we do spot market. And I think the AI is going to get those lanes of business from bigger brokers pretty rapidly. But for us, spot market stuff, specialty freight, that kind of thing is where we kind of niche out at for us. But like, just if you didn't have those carrier relationships, and these are some of the places you could go to build those as a brokerage, I think that's vitally important. So we're not out of time, but we do have a little bit of time left. Is there anything that we can talk about that you would be interested in talking about to bring to the table for the audience? Both our audiences are pretty similar. So,
Man, ooh, I got a really polarizing one, and that's a good one to end it on.
oh man,
Because you were just talking about it. Um, don't talk about relationships if you've never picked up a dictionary and understand what the word relationship means. I'm actually going through this right now with some folks that I thought I had some really good relationships with. And now that the tides have turned the last 3 weeks, two of them have just left me standing, man. But so I say my thing I want to talk about is we all seriously need to get on the same page here and understand like brokers are not your enemy, carriers. I know you all think they are. I know Facebook and YouTube and everyone else has told you how horrible brokers are and that they all hate you and they're against you and so forth and so on. I promise you they're not. There's some really good ones out there, and brokers say the same thing to you. I know we've all been bred to think carriers are trash, they're horrible gutter people who don't understand business, and whatever the case may be. But that's not true. There's way more good ones out there than there are bad ones, and I think that we need to all understand that the market's always going to swing one person's way or another, and it's really time that everyone takes their greed hat off when you can be greedy and put that, wow, let me make sure I'm still treating these people right or this person right, because in 6 months the tide can be completely turned. And I think COVID was a prime example of that. I'm not trying to throw trash or shade at any drivers, but the market was controlled by carriers for almost 2 years, and then it flipped overnight. You know what I mean? And those same people were really mad when they weren't getting taken care of, and someone could do them wrong. So I honestly, personally, I think that's probably the most important thing that people need to be focused on right now is treating others the way you want to be treated. And I know we're all in this to make money, but you can still make money, be profitable, and be honest, and take care of yourself and the people you do business with and all that. I think this whole idea of burning bridges because there's another bridge around the corner for me to cross is only going to last so long. With all the tech out here, like, I mean, I don't use it. I'm completely against Carrier 401. I really hope wherever they have their networking towers, hope that building burns down. I do. I think that guy's a criminal personally.
yeah,
That's why he
yeah,
won't come on our
definitely.
show. But I say
Yeah,
that to say that there's stuff out there right now, carriers and even brokers, that when you mess up, other people find out. Like there's systems out there. And that's why I say those bridges are only going to last so long. I literally had a talk with a guy today that he called me and is in basic fear for his life because he's been in business for 5 years and he has a carrier or a broker that is threatening to put a freight guard on him for
yeah,
something completely stupid. And he knows, he's like, dude, I know if this guy does this to me, this will shutter my business.
yeah.
So I only say that's just my point. You know what I mean? Is like, dude, treat people right and try to do the best you can because it is so easy to screw over someone's business nowadays. It's not even funny.
Yeah, no, that I love the fact that you brought that up as the ending point for our conversation today, because that is why we've been able to sustain for 20 years is because we do treat people the right way, both of us. And so whether that's the carrier or the shipper, but you mentioned to start out with, like the relationships you thought you had. And one thing I tell people all the time is that unfortunately in this industry, there is no loyalty a lot of times, and that goes both the shippers, the carriers, the brokers. And so having a thick skin, but also being very aware that, being careful. And I tell new brokers this and new carriers this all the time is be careful who you do business with. Make sure you vetted them and make sure you understand who they truly are. They still can burn you, but at least you know that they're going to treat you right most of the time. And people go out of business, go bankrupt, things happen, but know what you can control as a business owner, like how much money you can expend to a particular broker or a particular shipper, and know that like if I extend beyond that and they go out of business, like can I float that 50,000? Can I float that 100 or 200,000? And if I can't and I can't cover it, then I'm out of business kind of deal, because there is no loyalty and they could pick up and leave. I lost my number one customer this year as well. That's just part of it. And you have to be able to fill the funnel and keep moving. And so done that for 20 years and it happens. You're always going to be replacing certain people because the loyalty is, unfortunately, in this industry is not the greatest. But I think that, again, ending it this way is perfect, because to go forward in this industry with a very tech heavy, and I've been preaching, like, don't put carrier 411s up because you're having a bad day or the driver showed up late, because you said it in a sort of way is that, like, brokers can't do the job without carriers, right? So treat them the right way. And then the carrier side of things, I always say to them, like, you have to understand what you're giving up to use a broker, right? If you're going to use strictly brokers or supplement your income with brokers, what you're doing basically is giving up that 15% average. And I know they think we do 30, 40, 50% on every shipment, but it doesn't happen. But 15% average, you're giving up that 15% for a sales team, because that's what we are. We are your sales team. We're here to go to shippers, find shippers, work with shippers, and that way you can grow your trucking company and be successful in your trucking company. And again, truckers out there watching, like, you guys set the rates at the end of the day. You might not believe it, but you have a choice of how you go after your business and treat your business, or facilitate business coming into your truck. So just keep that in mind. So again, Pedro, I appreciate it. I know you got to run to the other call here in a minute. I'm going to let you go, and we'll go ahead and do our outro. And I appreciate it again, and we'll send this to you as soon as we get it all edited up and everything. So
Yeah, brother, my honor, man. I'll come back anytime.
yes, sir. I'll try to catch the one you guys do where you guys just kind of do the mashup. Was that Friday afternoons?
Yeah, well, dude, actually, if you're free this Friday, and I'm just talking because I know you can edit this out.
Yeah.
If you're free this Friday, we're having our last show of the year. It is the Lounge Miss, and so it's going to be freestyle, dude. So if you ain't got nothing to do, I was going to shoot you a link anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, man, you come on and chill with us. We're just gonna chill, shoot
And
the
let
shit.
everybody know, and sorry to cut you off, but let everybody know where they can find you with the Freight Lounge, and where they can see you on YouTube or whatever.
All right, so it's the Logistics Lounge. See, that's how you got me in trouble right there, Steve. That's how you started this whole thing.
I know,
right?
right?
There,
I did.
right
You're
there.
right.
And I know you did that on purpose.
I did.
I know you did. All right, so the Logistics Lounge, everyone. You can, easiest way to find us, honestly, is just go to logisticsloungeshow.com. And you can go on there, get to all our socials, has bios. We have a store with some hats and some other little stuff for sale. And our shows are every Wednesday and Friday at 4 p.m. Central on all social media. So make sure you catch us. And if you love great trucking content, I will say, I think we put out some of the best trucking content out there as far as videos and everything else. So we do more than just a show. Be happy to have you all in the audience. And if you'd like to be a guest, then you can hit us up through our website, and we'd be happy to have you on.
Hey, Pedro, man, I appreciate it, man. Have a good afternoon.
brother.
Happy holidays if I don't talk to you,
You
but I'll
too.
probably see you on Friday, okay?
Okay. All right. Awesome, Steve. Later,
All
brother.
right.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning into the Freight Lane. If today's conversation inspired you to, or helped you think differently about the freight business, hit subscribe and share it with someone in the industry. We'll see you next month for more insights, more stories, and more ways to grow with nationwide equipment transportation. We appreciate it. Happy holidays. Everybody have a great day.